Hey everybody at home watching, it's David Gordon from TheaterMania here with Lara McDonnell, star of the new Disney Plus Artemis Fowl movie, coming to us live from Ireland. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So you are playing an 80-year-old elf in this
As you
movie.
do.
Yes,
As
you
you
do.
do, yeah. As you
Uh,
do. It's a very normal role.
yeah, it's a great movie. It starts streaming on Disney Plus tomorrow. It's directed by Kenneth Branagh. Uh, that must have been awesome, getting directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Oh my goodness, it's incredible. I've loved his work since as long as I can remember. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so I remember him from when he was Gilderoy Lockhart in the second film. So getting to meet him, let alone work with him, was such an honor. I was so lucky, and he's an absolutely phenomenal director. So to get to work with him and be near his genius and be receiving his genius was such a privilege.
Yeah. So this movie's been in the works for a while. There's a lot of history with the making of the movie. It was filmed 2 years ago, 3 years ago now.
2 years ago, yeah.
So you're 16
I
now,
was
you were 14.
yeah, I was 14, yeah.
Tell me about the whole experience. How did you get cast?
Oh my goodness, the whole experience has been absolutely incredible. It's with no doubt about it. So my agent approached me and said, "Oh, there's an audition for a Disney film," and immediately I was like, "Oh my god, a Disney film!" And then she said it was for Artemis Fowl, and I genuinely looked over to my bookshelf where I have all 8 of the Artemis Fowl books sitting. They were one of my favorite series growing up, so I immediately knew who Holly Short was. And then I went and I did an audition in Dublin, and I was lucky enough to be asked to go for a callback. And I flew over to London, where I met Ferdy Shaw, who plays Artemis Fowl, for the first time. And I also met Sir Kenneth Branagh for the first time, which was surreal and overwhelming and amazing. And then after that, I was lucky enough to be asked to come back and do 2 screen tests, which I did. And in December of 2017, I was offered the role. And I just broke down in tears. I burst into tears, is the only way I can describe it. And I accused my mother of lying to me because I just could not wrap my head around the fact that I had been offered the role. So the only conclusion was that my mother was lying to me.
Well, I was gonna say, when you're 13, I mean, you'd been in Matilda before, but when you're 13 and you hear that, like, you're gonna do a project like this, your mind automatically goes to, "Oh my God, you must be kidding," or something.
Oh, 100%. Because I feel everyone has grown up with Disney films surrounding them. So getting to be a part of that massive family is just, even the thought of it, even when it's just coming up to an audition, like, oh my God, I'm auditioning for a Disney film, let
Yeah,
alone that I get to say that I'm in a Disney film.
yeah. So tell me how the movie differs from the books, because the movies always differ from the book series, and there are 8 books.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's always the case whenever you're turning a book into a movie, because unfortunately we can't simply fit every single little detail into the movies, unfortunately.
Right.
And it's the same with every big series, whether it be Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings. Like, there's always going to be some differences, and it's the same case with Artemis Fowl, that the book and the movie are different entities. But there are some really exciting changes. All of them are so exciting, and as a fan of the books, I can reassure all fans out there that it is definitely all for the best. And I think everyone will be really excited to hear the new changes and the new stories. And definitely, I think one of the best changes of all of them is having Judi Dench play Commander Root, because in the books, Commander Root is a man, and
Right.
Judi Dench is not a man. And she plays Root better than anyone ever could. I think she is the perfect Root. So I think people will be really, really happy with the film and the changes we've made, because they're definitely changes that I feel me as a fan and Fowl fans could definitely get on board with. They're just to tie in the story and make it so much more magical.
Who are you most starstruck by on set?
Oh my goodness. I was starstruck by everyone, if I'm being complete. Me meeting all of the cast was just me fangirling for a very long time. But when I first met Josh Gad, I was a huge fan and still am of Josh Gad. I knew him from initially when he did Book of Mormon on Broadway.
Yeah.
So I was completely shocked when I met him, which my co-star Ferdy can attest to, because when I first met Josh Gad, I went bright red and lost the ability to speak, which Ferdia found absolutely hilarious. And then when I met Judi Dench, I was just so overwhelmed the fact that she was a real person standing in front of me, because I've admired her for I couldn't tell you how long. And I remember when she was when Kenneth Branagh first introduced her to me, she was standing in front of me and she said, "Oh, hi," and I put out my hand to shake her hand, and she gave me a hug instead. And I could just feel the tears brimming in my eyes. I just couldn't believe she was a real person. And then right after, I know exactly, she's an absolute legend. And for Jude, like, to get to meet her, let alone work with her, is such an honor. I mean, I really cannot emphasize that enough. And she and the entire cast and crew have become like a family to me. So I'm very lucky.
The movie, I don't know. I like the books a lot, and I'm just so glad the movie exists. And it's just fun to watch, you know.
Definitely, it was so much fun to film. So I definitely think when we were so close on the set, like all of the cast and crew, we did genuinely become like a family, and we had so much fun making this film, which I definitely think is reflected in when people will watch the film. I think they'll recognize how much fun we're having, and hopefully they'll have just as much fun too.
Yeah, it looked like a blast. Like, you could tell.
It was. Oh yeah, it was so much fun. It was definitely, we had the best time, and I made friends for life on the set, so it was incredible.
So you're a part of the Artemis Fowl world in another way, because you recorded the book series, videos of you reading the book, and it's going to go live tonight. Tell me about that.
I absolutely love the books, as I've said, and they are, of course, the foundation of the film. Without the books, we wouldn't have the film. So, right. And I've always loved the books. So I definitely wanted to pay tribute to Uncover's amazing story. And I decided I would love to read the first book for everyone to hear, just to get everyone excited about seeing the film. So that is what I have done. And I'm very excited to hear what everybody thinks about it, and for everybody to relive the story again. Yeah, I'm very excited. It was really fun to do. I had way too much fun doing the voices.
That'll be on the Disney Plus Instagram, or not the Disney, the Disney Books Instagram.
It will be on the Disney Books Instagram and the Artemis Fowl official Instagram page.
That's so cool. When you were like recording the books, did you see everybody else's performance in your head while you were like? Did you see Judi Dench in your head while you were reading this part live on your camera?
Definitely. I attempted to do different impressions of each character, which I feel will go down terribly, because they're going to be like, "What did you do to me?" Yeah, I did definitely take influence from the way Judi Dench plays Root, and the way Ferdia Shaw plays Artemis, and the same with Nonza Nosey, who plays Butler, and Tamara Smart, who plays Juliet, and with every single member of the cast. I definitely took inspiration from them when I was reading the book.
We have a fun question from a viewer, and if you're watching at home, pop questions in the comments. We can get to them. Who had the best hair on set?
That's such a good question.
The best wig or something. You had your little elf.
You never know. That's a very good question. So I used to have very long hair, like around the length that I have now, and I got my hair chopped for a pixie cut. So I personally think I had pretty cool hair, but I'm a little bit biased. So next, I would definitely have to say, I mean, Josh Gad as Mulch Diggums has the most amazing hair and makeup ever. I mean, it's incredible. He's been compared to Hagrid many times, and I definitely see it. But yeah, his hair and makeup was awesome, and it took many hours to do in the morning. But Carol Hemming and her makeup team, they did a superb job. I think, personally, for me, he looks like what Mulch I imagined to be in real life. So definitely have to go with Josh on that one.
Tell me about your experience working on Matilda, because how old were you when you did Matilda in the West End?
I was 11 and 12 when I performed in Matilda.
So you went right from basically that to filming Artemis Fowl.
Not particularly. I finished in Matilda. I had my last performance in 2016, and then I went on to audition in June of 2017. So not right away, but it was a fairly close time. Yeah.
What was the Matilda experience like for you? Because I know when it was on Broadway, they took such great care of all the kid performers, and they made sure that everybody felt safe and no one was overwhelmed, and just created a family environment for them.
That was also definitely the case in the West End. I mean, I still talk to the kids and the adults that I worked with in Matilda, we, again, like with Artemis, it was such a comforting, loving, warm environment, and I've became like a family with all of the cast members. It was an incredible experience. I had always loved Matilda the musical from the moment the soundtrack came out in 2011, so I was hooked. And then I remember hearing about had an open audition for Matilda, and I heard about it through my drama and singing teacher, who just said, oh, maybe Lara could do this. And my parents had never heard me sing before, so they were like, okay. So my mum and I flew over to London, and we went into the audition, and we both, when we went over, we were like, oh, this is great. We're going to go over to London for a few days and we'll have a great time. We planned to see Wicked later that night because we were going to take advantage of the fact that we were in London. Because if anything was going to come of this, we went over there with the expectations of this is going to be a great experience. I'm going to experience something new and it'll be a lot of fun. And then I did the audition and then was asked for a callback, which neither my mum or I anticipated whatsoever. And then, I traveled back and forward from my home in Dublin to London, where I would audition for the next 4 months. And I was offered the role. And when my mum told me, I burst into tears again. I was just completely overwhelmed. 4 months. 4 months. But it was so much fun. I'd never done anything like this before. I'd never auditioned for any musical. So to get to do that, it was so much fun. And I would have been thrilled if I hadn't even gotten the role, because it was just such an amazing experience. And then to actually get to perform on a West End stage with an amazing cast and to get to know so many of the cast and crew was a dream come true.
I love that show. I love that show so much.
It's such a good show. I'm a little biased, but it's a good show.
I always wanted to take a ride on the swings, the swing sets. So when I grew up,
yes, they're so cool. And so a little fun fact actually is that the Matildas, we're not allowed to go on the swings just because we're not in the When I Grow Up number. So there is no reason for us to be going on the swings. Yeah. But it was something special that they did in the West End anyway. On your last day as a Matilda, your last performance, they would let us go on the swing. They would push us on the swing just for like a minute or two. But it was something that the Matildas always wanted to do. So that's what we did.
Who were your Miss Honey and your Miss Trunchbull? Who were the actors?
I had 2 Miss Honeys while I performed in Matilda, because I was there for a year, and then I had 1 Miss Trunchbull. Craig Ells played Miss Trunchbull, who is the most incredible person ever, and he was an incredible Trunchbull and the loveliest of people, and I still keep in contact with him, and he's always been so lovely to me. And my Miss Honey was Hayley Flaherty, and for my first 6 months, who was so lovely, and my second one was a woman called Miriam, and they were all so lovely. Yeah, I was very lucky.
Would you want to go back and play like Miss Honey or something one day?
I don't know if I could. I mean, I think everybody likes the idea of it, but I don't know if I actually could. Yeah. Just because it would be so weird to see. It would be so weird to realize how old I've gotten if I did that. Ancient. Yeah. It would be. I think if I did have to go back though, I would love to be Miss Honey, because My House is such a beautiful song. So it makes me cry every time I listen to it. It's so beautiful.
Question from a viewer: is there any scene in particular from books 2 through 8 that you'd love to get to act out someday?
That is such a good question. There are so many amazing scenes. I mean, the books are incredible. The first one is definitely, I think, my favorite, along with the 6th one. But they all progressively get more and more full of action, and there's so many different themes that are piled in. But something that a scene that I've always loved was in The Time Paradox, which is one of my favorite of the books. They time travel, and I always thought that would be so cool to film and act out and go back in time and do all these different things. That would definitely be a scene that I would love to try and do.
That'd be really cool. This is a fun one. What would your fan base be called?
I have no idea. I actually don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
If anybody has any suggestions, I'm open to hearing them, because I have no clue whatsoever.
What future project would you love to be part of, either on film or in theater? Like, what are you like? Are there any musicals that you want to do?
Oh, 100%. There's way too many musicals that I want to do. I don't think I'll be alive long enough to do all the musicals I want to do. Definitely some of my dream roles at the moment, they change on a daily basis. But at the moment, I'm obsessed with Beetlejuice, which I'm so sad is closing on Broadway because I never got to see it, but I'm so sad. But I would love to play Lydia. I mean, that is such a cool role.
Yeah.
I would also, a role that I've always wanted to play ever since I was little was I always wanted to play Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. That's been a favorite musical of mine for ages, and I would love to play Eliza Doolittle. So those are two of my favorites. But when it comes to film, I personally love series like Sherlock Holmes, and I love Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. I love Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express. I love Agatha Christie novels. I love anything mystery and with detectives. I find it so interesting. And I feel like we unfortunately don't have a lot of female detective movies or series. So I would love the opportunity to bring a teenage female detective to life. I think that would be super cool. That would definitely be a big aspiration of mine.
It would be really cool. Yeah, you're right about it. Now that I think about it, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, it's like I absolutely love the series like Sherlock, but I feel like we need to see a quick, witty female heroine detective. I think we need to see that soon.
Did you do any combat training to play Holly?
I did. I was really lucky. I got to work with an amazing stunts team for Artemis Fowl who always made sure I was so safe and comfortable and was always in control of what I was doing. But yeah, I went through a lot of training. I would train every day. I would do a lot of strength training just to build up my core, which is your core is so important when you have to learn how to fly, which is something that a lot of people don't know. But yeah, I got the opportunity to fly. So I got to train as a wire artist, which is so weird and cool to say as a 16-year-old. Yeah, I'm a trained wire artist, and I had to build up my core and build up my strength to do so. And I also learned kickboxing, self-defense, gymnastics. I learned so many new skills in Artemis to become Holly, because she is so full of action, and in the story she's supposed to be 84. Right. I'm not 84. And so, of course, she's supposed to have gone through all these years of training at the police academy. And so I definitely we wanted to make sure that that was authentic as possible and that I was able to do as many of my own stunts as possible. So yeah, a lot of cool training I had to go through. Loved it.
Did you watch the movie and like have any moments of like, oh my God, that's me up there. I can't watch this. Like, do you?
I feel like I never really like watching myself at all whatsoever. But because we filmed Artemis 2 years ago, I was 14 and I look like a completely different person because there's so much that changes between the ages of 14 and 16. So watching the film, it didn't really feel like I was watching me in a way. Like every time a scene would come up, I would be like, oh, I remember when we shot that. But at the same time, seeing myself on the screen, it doesn't feel like me, which I think is just a coping mechanism because it's such a surreal thing to see. But there's definitely one of the most surreal moments when watching the film was at the very beginning when the Disney castle came up. I thought I was going to cry. I just couldn't believe that I was in a film with a Disney. It just brought back a lot of childhood nostalgia for me.
I will leave you with the question of what was your, like, when you're like old and like telling your children and your grandchildren about this, like what is going to be the memory, like the one memory that stands out in your head of filming?
Oh my goodness. That's such a good question. There have been so many amazing memories. I think definitely one of my favorite memories that I think will be a nice note to leave this on was in the shoot, on the middle day of the shoot, Kenneth Branagh was so kind to organize kind of like a special day for us to mark the middle of the shoot for Artemis. And they ordered ice cream and pizza to the set, and it was summer and it was really hot. And I remember we just wrapped for the day, and then everybody got changed out of their costumes and we went back to the set of Haven City, which is such an incredible, magical set. And we all sat down in this room that had this big screen at the back wall, and they played little snippets of everything we had filmed so far. They had edited them together, and they put the Disney castle before it and everything, and they edited it all together to see what we had done so far. And I think that was such a lovely moment for all of the cast and crew to sit there seeing what we had created so far. And it was just such a lovely lovely day. It was definitely a very big bonding moment and definitely a memory that I will treasure forever.
Lara, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, congratulations.
Thank
Artemis
you.
Fowl is on Disney Plus starting tomorrow, Friday. And you can all
Make sure
watch.
to check it out.
Take care. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you.